Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing a video on the Michigan State coaching hire potentially. I know allegedly, you have to say this a lot in this video, allegedly Mel Tucker is going to be out as head coach for Michigan State. And so I'm thinking about guys that are going to have to start to hire. I've got top coordinators as one. I got sitting head coaches as one, hot seat guys, Cooper 5 head coaches in the Dreamland. So I have 15 names. I know it's going to be a lot, but some of them are pretty self-explanatory, some of them aren't, and I'll kind of go through them quickly and we'll be having you guys on your way. We'll start with the top offensive coordinators. Most of these are offensive, just top coordinators in general. We'll start with Alex Atkins. He is the offensive coordinator from Florida State. Now, the Florida O-line has featured 18 different starting combinations in 34 games, but is blocked for 18 games with at least 200 rushing yards. That's a school record tying seven consecutive 200-yard rushing games, 2022. Six all-conference performers, two freshman All-Americans under Atkins. He was one of the most explosive offenses in the nation last year for Florida State, turning their program around, going 10-3 last year. Obviously, we know what they're doing this year with ex-Michigan State guy and Keon Coleman. They ended up being ranked 10th, 11th in the AP poll, and they had 7.46 plays of 20-plus yards a game, which is crazy. 18 touchdown drives of 80-plus yards was the third most in the country. They had 8 touchdown drives of 90-plus yards. So they're used to these long drives, run the ball, mixing in the throwing. I think it'd be a pretty good fit. It's another guy that you could bring out there from Florida State up to East Lansing. He's a bit younger as well. I've been trying to find his age, but doing the math, he should be around his early 40s, I believe. I literally Google his age, it won't come up, but I think that's one of the good coordinators there. Next one, Ryan Grubb, offensive coordinator for Washington. He was the OC at Fresno State, excuse me. I'm looking around. Currently the OC at Washington. He used to be offensive coordinator at Eastern Michigan for a little bit, so he's got some Michigan ties. I don't need to tell anyone about Washington's offense. I'm recording this before the game, but this could be very interesting to be coming out, I think, on Saturday right before the game. I think I'm trying to figure out the best idea to put that out. Maybe Sunday. I don't know, but yeah, that'll be it'll be interesting to see how he ends up doing against Michigan State. But based on what I'm projecting and predicting, it should be an absolute bloodbath. So you're going to want him. Next one is technically a coordinator, but he was just a head coach for Kent State. Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator for Colorado. Now, this is assuming maybe Deion leaves. I think you could probably poach him. He was a head coach in the MAC. Last year, the 2021 year, the Kent State had 1,052 plays, 6,900 yards, 362 first downs, 3,482 rush yards, and 3,425 pass yards. They also had the top non-service academy rushing attack in the country, or fourth in the FBS in total, averaging 500 yards a game, and they had the Idaho Potato Bowl appearance. And I know that's a lot for a MAC team, but being able to balance it like that is crazy. He had the crazy good offensive schemes. And you watch Colorado, he calls the entire offense for Colorado, which is kind of why they're going crazy right now. It's largely that's not even a word, largely due to Sean Lewis and stuff over there. So I think he'd be an interesting mind as well. Garrett Riley, not much needs to be said about Garrett Riley. He is the offensive coordinator that helped make TCU good, was at SMU before that, and now he finds himself out in where even is it? Obviously in Clemson, excuse me. I like what he's doing a lot. I know that there's not as much going on in terms of him actually calling the plays himself. I know Dabo's been kind of continuing to call the plays, and there's been a bit of a problem potentially brewing over there. So maybe kick the tires on one of the youngest coordinators, brother of Lincoln Riley, and be like, hey, look, man, we'll let you do whatever you want over here. We have a good financial backing, blah, blah, blah. And I guess I can kind of get to that point too, just in general, right? Say what you want about the coach. Obviously, Mel Tucker's got clearly some troubles off the field, but he got a lot of support, a lot of financial backing from Michigan State and their social accounts. Tuck coming was a big thing around the country. He was able to leverage that into one of the best contracts out there, so Michigan State's not afraid to pay. A lot of boxes were checked. If I'm a coach, it's like, look, it's the top 25, top 30 program. They bring in a ton of revenue. They get behind it. It's a chip on their shoulder. It's the second biggest program in the state. One of the big ones, the conference. It's okay. You have an inherent chip on your shoulder as little brother. So I think it's a good spot for any young coach out there. I think Garrett could weaponize that and become very, very popular out there. Last coordinator officially of one other position coach, but Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator for Georgia. pretty self-explanatory. 33 years old. I might be like, well, that's a little young to hire a guy out there. Dan Lanning was a similar age when he got hired out into Oregon. He's doing his thing pretty well, I would say, for Oregon. And he wasn't even a coordinator; he was a position coach. So I think it's a good thing potentially coming there if you hired him. But I know Mel Tucker was an ex-Georgia guy, so maybe wait on that one a bit. Who knows? And then finally, Josh McCown. This is one I kind of just had come to me when I was walking my dog the other day. He was obviously a good quarterback in the league, an NFL backup quarterback, coached some high school in Texas, Texas high school football. And then he went over to the Panthers most recently. He is the quarterbacks coach there, working with Bryce Young. It is all about quarterbacks right now in college football. You don't got a good one, you're not going to be good. So you probably could have a few ties and be like, hey, I want to go play for that guy. I used to be in the pros, blah, blah, blah. And you might be like, okay, he's just positional coach, just came out, was a backup quarterback for a while. He interviewed for the Texans job and almost got it. So at least that should be something where people are like, okay, he's got a little bit to him. So I think that's a fun flyer you won't really see on any other lists. Now, the next ones are the two big ones everyone's been talking about, the sitting head coaches. You've got Duke's Mike Elko, obviously the ex-defensive coordinator over at A&M. He's very similar to the other guy, which I'll mention in a second here, but he's got a gritty team, special teams, under-recruited. He's at a basketball school. So it'll be the same thing at Michigan State. Obviously, they care about football a bit more at Michigan State than Duke. But he's had, not the best talent, and he's gotten a lot out of it. Obviously, just beat Clemson pretty clearly. Had a good season last year with Duke. Looks at another one here. Has Riley Leonard, a good quarterback going. And less academic restrictions at Michigan State, if any. No offense to state friends out there. I think that he'll be in a very good spot to succeed out there. And similar to him, Chris Kleiman from Kansas State. If you can bring Colin Klein with him, the ex-quarterback and now play caller / offensive coordinator, I think that's a really good move. And he did the same thing. Special teams, gritty, big game wins. I mean, Kansas State beat a lot of really good teams last year. I know they lost a few bad teams, but when you're in the Big Ten, you need to be kind of a giant killer. That's why Jeff Brom, right? He had a pretty good niche out there in Purdue. He'd go, a little over 500 in his games he had to win. And then he would upset one or two teams in crazy road specials. That one year he had Michigan State, number 5 Michigan State, number 2 Iowa. Remember when Iowa was number 2 a few years ago? That's crazy. But they're doing their thing, and I like what he's doing out there. I think it would be a pretty good fit for Michigan State. It's hard to get him out there, though. Now we have hot seat guys, 2 of them here. Billy Napier. Again, big game for Billy this weekend. If he loses it, it could be in very big trouble. But he did a lot at UL Lafayette. They were really good there. I think, you retread him up north. He's got some very good recruiting going on with Florida. Is that him? Is that Florida? One way to find out is, bring him up here. But I think that he's got a lot going on for him, and it could potentially work up north. And similar to him, you've got Neal Brown. I know he's like the number 1 hot seat guy out there, the coach for West Virginia. He did a lot of good things at Troy. If you watched the West Virginia game, how they played the first few drives and snaps against Penn State, it's a really physical team, good O-line, runs the ball, plays some tough defense, running downhill. I mean, they had a good game against Pitt last year. I think that it could work, that rough and tuggle of, physical Midwest style of football, I think would work well at Michigan State clearly in years past. And I think that could be a thing that works going forward. Now we get to the sitting group of 5 coaches, group of 5 sitting coaches that you could poach and bring up to the big time if you want some head coaching experience. Now that would be Rhett Lashlee. I don't know how to say his name great well, but you'll know his picture when I put him up here. He is the old offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Miami. He's currently the head coach at SMU. It's going to be probably tough to get him out of SMU because SMU's got a really good thing going. They're moving the ACC. He works the portal so well, though, and he's got great coaches and great quarterbacks he gets to him. Derek King, remember how fun he was over there? I think that we could see a very interesting offense out there. And the way they use the portal, he's kind of a loudmouth himself. When you see his photo, you remember him, he's going crazy on the sideline for Miami with Manny Diaz out there. I think it would work. You could put him behind there, get some support from the fan base. He's got an edge on him for sure. I think it'd be a great spot. Kane Womack, the head coach for University of South Alabama. I put USA on the brackets. Yeah, South Alabama. Used to be the D coordinator for Indiana, So he's got Big Ten experience. He was on that good Indiana team, one good team they've had, like pretty much in the college history. He was on that defense coaching. And he's done a few good things at USA down there at South Alabama. He had 9 wins last year, almost beat UCLA at UCLA last year. So he's got some good experience there. And obviously, you give him way more support and finances and all that stuff. He'll be able to get a lot more out of the players that he has existing, and would be a better quality player and has some good ties in the South. Plus, for a big plus for him, he's 35 years old. So he could be a coach for 20 years. Last two ones, we got Alex Golesh. He just got hired by USF. They've got Alabama this upcoming weekend. So we'll see how that game goes. But he's the ex-Tennessee offensive coordinator that kind of came from UCF with them, that runs that crazy fast-paced up-tempo thing. It'd be really funny to see Michigan State do that. And I know I got a lot of these coaches as offensive minds, and it's probably not going to fit with the kind of culture that Michigan State wants. But look at Wisconsin. They totally changed everything. Luke Fickell came in. They brought in Phil Longo, and they're airing the ball out. Like, it's crazy. It just kind of happened. But sometimes you gotta move on forward. And I think after a scandal like this, it'd be a pretty good opportune time to take a step forward in the right direction. But again, who knows? I think Golesh should be interesting. Not much proven there. He is 38 years old though, but we'll see how it is. And my final one, a little bit off the beaten path, but I'm looking for like stud offensive guys just stud guys with good ties for recruiting down south, in addition to success as a head coach. Look no further than Jeff Traylor, the UTSA head coach. Deep Texas ties, was a head coach for high school football in Texas for a long time. I think he was a coach at UT as well, so hook him to him. Now he's the head of the Meat Brigade for UTSA, where they had ranked last year's Group of 5 Group of 5 team. So that's crazy. And then I got to do it. You cannot have a coaching video, and you can't have the thumbnail I'm going to have without talking about it. Could Deion Sanders work at Michigan State? Absolutely. I think it would work perfectly. He and Mel Tucker have a lot of similarities. I think he's a bit more outspoken and more I don't know, like rambunctious, but like bold, confident, cocky, arrogant in a good way. I like arrogant as a compliment to me. I know it's going to sound crazy. I think it's a good thing for a coach like this. Michigan State needs a guy like that, an edge. It's like a us versus them thing. I think it would totally work. I know it's never going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just putting it out in the universe that if he went to Michigan State, that program would turn around like crazy. I am under the firm notion that no amount of money can make someone say no. Yes, it's a certain amount of money can make someone say yes, if that makes sense. You go to Deion Sanders and you're like, hey, here's 12, 13 million a year to be our head coach. You would be shocked how quickly he would probably say yes and how fast that would turn around. I know he's not probably in it for money, because he clearly was one of the best players of all time, and he's very loaded on and off the field. I just think that it would work perfectly. They've got the little like natural, oh, we're going to show you that they're our little brother, thing like that, right? With Michigan already, Michigan State, Penn State, some of these West Coast teams. So you can, Deion can be playing with you guys in Atlanta. You can be playing, in LA with these guys. You can be playing in Washington with these guys, in Oregon with these guys, all over the coast, from coast to coast, Deion coast to coast in the Big Ten. It would work perfectly. I kind of wish Colorado joined the Big Ten just for that alone. But, why not have him come over and do his thing at Michigan State? I think it would totally work. Will it happen? Better chance of me being a head coach, I would say. But if it happens, I wouldn't be entirely surprised, because it makes way too much sense. As a Michigan fan, absolutely not. By any means, make this not happen, because holy, that would be a terrifying combination. But that's what I have for now. Thank you to some of the Sparties that I sent this to kind of get a quick rundown of what they thought about it. But lay down below what you want for your next coach. If the interim guy can hold on to it, I doubt it. But do you want the ghost of D'Antonio back? I would hope not. But Michigan State is in a very unique position where they can turn this horrible situation into a major positive if they hire the right guy. This is a generational hire. This is a school and a program defining hire. You really need to get good quick with the arms race that's happening in college football, let alone your own conference, right? It's expanding to 18 teams. And they're bringing in 4 very good teams in the West Coast. Recruiting is going to be a battle. Every game's a battle. I mean, you have 1 week you'll be in USC, the next weekend you'll be in Rutgers. You've got to lock in, and you need a strong foundation. And I think a lot of these guys will bring that to them. So thank you all for watching. Best of luck to my Sparties until we destroy them on October 21st. But that is all I have for now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.